Okay, howdy. This is the first video for our new spring semester 2024, and this is COM 409, the rhetorical tradition. Hi, I'm Donovan Conley. I'm your instructor for this course. And I always like to record a fresh new intro video before every new semester of my online classes. The video lectures that you'll be seeing here on out will be previously recorded, but this one is being recorded on Martin Luther King Day, day before the spring semester begins. And I'm just going to quickly talk about the class, what to expect, some important stuff, and just, kind of quickly go over the syllabus. I think you guys all know the drill at this point. Print this off, go through it closely. This is a class, upper division rhetoric class. It's a required class, and you should have had some exposure to rhetoric through one or two other classes, maybe 211, maybe 101, maybe 104, maybe a few others around there. But this is the kind of the culminating rhetoric class in our program. It's one that I've been teaching for many years, and I think it's still really important, even though we've kind of lost interest in ancient historical stuff. But the questions, the concepts, the themes, the issues, the tensions, the problematics, they're still important. They're very important. We are facing a big presidential election this year, and it sort of feels like things are almost hopeless in terms of the quality of our discourse, the integrity of messaging, the integrity of information, what beliefs are founded on, what counts as opinion versus fact. I mean, things are really messy. I believe a class like this is more important today than ever before, and possibly because people seem to be losing interest in this kind of stuff. But we are not in a great situation in terms of our public discourse. So this is a class that's going to ask us to be thinking about core questions, core concepts. Again, important tensions, issues, themes, trends, developments. And I think a lot of the stuff that we'll be encountering, readings, concepts, will, even though it's, from a far off land and time, it should still feel very relevant and resonant today. That's the gambit here. So if you haven't yet, please print off a copy of the syllabus and work through it. I will just try to cover a couple of, more important things here, and, what to expect for the next 15 weeks together. Because this is an upper division class in rhetoric, my goal is to make sure that we are comfortable and confident walking around with rhetorical conceptual material in our minds, ready to go, right? So that we understand certain important concepts like invention or style or syllogisms or enthymemes or identification, the importance of power, status, argumentation, what counts as a warrant, what counts as support. If none of these terms are familiar to you, that's okay. They should be by the end of this class. And these are important concepts for understanding how we operate together, collectively, socially speaking, how we make decisions, how we influence, how we try to persuade and move each other around, right? In order to produce collective decisions and outcomes and make change. Rhetoric's involved in this business of change very much. So, this is an advanced upper division class, and the assumption is that you've had a bit of exposure to rhetoric already, that you have some familiar with concepts, and so this is going to push a little bit further. So I think of this class as a kind of balance between a lot of freedom and space. There's not a lot of busy work. There's not a lot of assignments in this class. But the assignments that we do are pretty weighty, significant, and you should be definitely mindful of when the due dates are and what the expectations for the assignments are, because there's only 4 of them. 2 tests, 2 papers, that's it for 15 weeks. So there's a lot of sort of downtime where what we're doing is we're just working through weeks of content, and you're watching videos and you're doing readings. And my experience is pretty easy for students to kind of fall away, to lose track and to maybe disappear a little bit, because this is a class that presumes a certain amount of independence and organization on the part of the student to make sure that they're, keeping up with the work and the calendars and the schedules. and being ready for deadlines and not being surprised by deadlines, right? So as an upper division class, the expectation is that you guys are pretty well organized. You can, understand that the calendar, the semester is 15 weeks. There's a midterm. There's some stuff that happens in between. So you want to be, looking at the semester as a whole as you're going through the syllabus here. Think about due dates. Think about what else you have due around that time when you need to start working on things. The papers are not long papers. They're only 5 pages each. But, the task involved in each of these papers is fairly rigorous. And so it does take some time to think. It does take some time to plan. You have a lot of time, though. This is a class that gives you a lot of time. There's a lot of flexibility in this class. There's just these 4 things that you're asked to do. So you want to make sure you do them as well as you can, which means reaching out to me as soon as you can. If you have questions, if you have concerns, it means not leaving things for just a couple of days before they're due, because there's not much, therefore it all counts fairly heavily, right? And so each assignment is worth 20, 25 points out of 100 kind of a thing. So I don't know, I like the balance between, here's a bunch of freedom. You have a lot of freedom in this class. There's not a lot of little things to do here. But of the things that we're doing, you want to make sure you're doing them well, with intention, with focus, gearing up and really hitting it, right? And I'm here to help. This is not like, go figure it out. This is we're in this together. But there's these 4 key moments with these assignments. You want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, right? So, rhetorical tradition, we're going to be going back to ancient Greece. We're going to be looking at Plato and Aristotle and the sophists, and then we're going to jump to Italy and Rome, and we're going to look at Cicero and Quintilian, and that's kind of it for the ancient stuff. And then we're going to bounce up into the more modern times. And the 20th century is a really important time in the whole kind of history of rhetoric, as was the kind of original context. When we think about the origins of rhetoric, what we're talking about really is the appearance of textbooks and classes and theories of rhetoric, right? So as we'll be encountering pretty soon, when you watch the stuff on and read the stuff on the 4 main models of rhetoric, which is how I'm kind of framing the tradition, we'll see that rhetoric is, I'm going to stress rhetoric as a practice, as something that we do, right? This is out there in the world. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's people talking to each other. There's campaigns. We got a presidential campaign. There's all kinds of media. We've seen debates. We've seen all kinds of stuff that would be, considered rhetorical in various dimensions. And it's just sort of what we do in our social lives together is we're constantly trying to get these people over here and buy this and accept that idea and come along with me. Hey, we need help doing this over here. The environment's going to shit. We need help. Will you help us? We need to persuade you to help us. Persuasion, rhetoric. It's all over the place. So the course takes this approach of rhetoric as a thing we do. It's a practice. What's going on in this class is a look at the theories of that practice, right? So rhetorical theory or concepts about rhetoric or ideas about the practice that we engage in. I sort of feel like this is a class where, we're interested in basketball, but we're not playing basketball so much as we're studying it, we're analyzing it, we're talking about it, we're looking at theories and systems and programs and all that. Which isn't to say that we're only interested in theory. We're interested in theories because of how they illuminate and shed light on the practice of rhetoric, right? And so when we're looking at what's going on in Iowa with the caucuses and the presidential, the primaries, where the Republicans are trying to choose their nominee, right? So much rhetorical practice going on. A huge part of it's about media and the importance of media. We'll see that toward the end of the semester. But just all of these efforts to sway, all these efforts to try to bring people over, to push them away, right? Don't go with that candidate, go with this candidate for these reasons. Fear appeals, vanity appeals, intimidation, scaremongering, flattery, on and on and on. So much rhetorical action out there. And a lot of it's really lousy. A lot of it's really terrible. And so hopefully this class will help us see, the difference between stuff that's working well and stuff that's maybe corrosive or misleading, and so on, right? So there's 3 modules or units, content units, and there's 2 main ones, as I mentioned, the ancient context and then the late modern contemporary context. So that's basically the 20th century. In between, there's a tiny little bit, and it keeps shrinking over time as I teach this class. It used to be fairly significant, but now it's like a week, I think, where we look at Renaissance and early modern. There's a few interesting texts that we want to kind of quickly look at there, but for the most part, it's ancient Athens, ancient Rome, and then the United States in the 20th century. And so that's a huge sweep in terms of time. We're also covering a good amount of geography, Europe, Western Europe largely, North America. If we had more time, we would want to maybe look at non-European rhetorics, and there's so much out there that's just really hard to get a handle on, any one story. And so I'm kind of telling 4 stories within our story. That's the 4 different traditions of rhetoric. And we will look at different ways that we can talk about rhetoric. We can come at it from this way, this way, this way, this way. And then we can assess the sort of strengths and weaknesses as well. So just those 3 content modules. Again, as I mentioned, just the 4 different assignments, 2 tests, 2 concept papers. There will be some bonus opportunities on the tests. I have had students graduate or finish this class with over 100% or points or whatever. I guess I got the weather on my mind. It's like so cold out there right now. Not here in Vegas, but the rest of the country, and where my family lives up north. So the tests will be a combination of multiple choice and some written response. And the papers are concept papers, meaning that we're working through some of the key conceptual material and architecture that's grounding this course. So it's asking you to kind of recognize concepts and to use them to sort of put them into practice as you analyze something. I'll come up with something. And so that's kind of it, really. You can look over the course schedule. You look over the policies. Obviously, those are important. In terms of anything else I would like to stress, my office hours are going to be, is it on here? I think it is. Yeah, Mondays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so that's not maybe the best time for everyone, but that's when I'm going to be on campus for sure, because I have another in-class class that I teach at 4 o'clock. So I'll definitely be on campus on Mondays. And then beyond that, if you want to meet, we can meet in person. I'm thinking about maybe coming to campus at least one other day, maybe Thursdays. But of course, we can always meet online too. I think it's a bummer. Like I am someone who appreciates the flexibility and the convenience factor of online classes. I've been doing these forever, and I certainly appreciate how they allow me to have flexibility in terms of my own schedule. And for you, of course, to be able to kind of come and go, dip in and dip out when it works best for you, keeping in mind that you do need to be regularly engaging every single week. I would say at least 3 to 5 times every week you're engaging, you're logging on, you're watching, you're reading, you're note taking, you're thinking about what's coming, you're looking at assignments that are coming up, all right? The main thing is for you to be staying current with the material. So each week, do the readings, then watch the lecture videos. Make sure that you're working through any supplementary stuff, the notes, any other kind of side videos or whatever. I feel like the class moves at a decent pace. There's not a ton of reading. Some of it's a little weird looking because it's in, old languages or whatever. The ideas, though, I think are going to be fine. I think you'll be fine with the ideas. My job is to try to, make them relevant and illuminate any kind of technical weirdness or whatever. I am happy to answer questions. I love answering questions. We have a discussion portal. We have email. You can reach out on Gmail, GChat. We can set up a Zoom call. Okay, so there's many different ways that we can connect. I also love it if anyone came to say hello in my office hours. If you happen to be around campus Mondays at 10 to 12, pop on by, say hi, introduce yourself. We can chew the fat for a little while, or if you want to just make an appointment with me, that'd be great. I would love to meet as many of you as possible in person, not just online, but in person. I find that, at least for me, on this side of the teaching experience, it can be a little dull because, I do all this work in advance to make sure that the content is ready for you and then I just kind of sit back and miss all the fun part, which is the conversations, the interactions. So I actually asked if I could teach a class in person last semester, last fall. Weirdly, it was in the same building and then the same time as that incident at the end of the semester. Just the wrong day, right? So I was in BEH last semester, and I had a wonderful semester with about 15 students in this class, rhetorical tradition, and I just really enjoyed being in a room with these people over the course of this semester. I hadn't taught an in-class undergraduate class for about 4 years, and I was missing my students so much that I actually asked to teach in person, even though it meant driving to campus. For me, it's like 30 plus minutes dealing with all that road construction and all of the, the traffic on campus. And it's a hassle. It's not fun. I don't enjoy driving to campus, but I sure enjoy being on campus. And I know that now everyone's going to have, feelings about it. And we're just coming off of the pandemic, and now we have this terrible incident. So it's going to take some time for people to kind of fully come back, but I want to keep, pushing. So anyway, do come by and see me. Do reach out. Don't be a stranger. It's not a threat. It's not a command. It's a request. It's it would be great to meet you. It would be great to sort of know who's in my classes. All I get is names. I don't get pictures or anything. So that's about it, gang. Hopefully I covered all of the important stuff. The due dates, the point values, a little bit of descriptions on the assignments. They're all in there. Basically, the whole class is just on the one page. It's just like sort of reflects the syllabus. I haven't built it out like some other online classes where it's like endless amounts of pages and all this media content. So it's mostly just like the one page, and you just kind of work down, right? All of the modules are there, and all of the contents and all the readings and all the videos. It's all there. Just sort of work top to bottom, and that's about it. So at this point, it's just a matter of you guys going out there and going through the syllabus and knowing what's coming up and working through the readings, working through the lecture videos, jot down any questions you might have. You can save them up. You can come into my office hours and chat with me. You can email me. We can set up an online meeting. I just don't want you to feel like, oh shoot, this is weird and I don't really understand it. So I'll catch up later, and then week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks go by, and it's like, oh goodness, I got to get caught up. It's too late. You know what I mean? Like, just do your very best to stay current with the materials. Even if you're not fully understanding it, keep at it, reach out. I will help you. Trust me, I am here for that. So I wish everyone a really good semester. I do hope we get to chat a bit. I look forward to reading your work and your thoughts. I always enjoy reading what students are coming up with and how they're chewing on these ideas and concepts. And so I hope we have a great time together. I'm looking forward to it. I love this content. I love this material. I enjoy teaching it. I enjoy having conversations about it. So hopefully we can have a great time together. And as I say, if you have any needs or any questions or something I missed, do reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you when we see you. All right, peace.